Dana White, the president of the UFC, finds himself at the center of controversy as numerous UFC fighters speak out about their perceived inadequate compensation. While disputes and criticisms are not uncommon in the world of mixed martial arts, the issue of fighter pay has recently escalated, prompting legal concerns. While appearing on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, former professional boxer Chris Eubank Jr. recently shared his views on the pay disparity between boxing and MMA, highlighting the monopoly created by Dana White and its impact on fighter earnings.
I'm curious if you think we'll ever see a day where the UFC stars are making close to what the boxing stars, because as you may know, Dana White loves to say that boxing is broken and I could be the one to fix it. And then I look at the paydays and I'm like, well, damn, it looks like the boxing guys are doing pretty well for themselves. So do you ever think that there'll ever be a day where it's a little more equal?
It's impossible. You have, in the UFC, you have a guy who's monopolized the entire MMA world. You can't, if you don't accept what Dana's giving you, goodbye. Find somewhere else to go. Perfect example is in Ghana. In boxing, you have promoters all over the world. You have associations. You have, the IBF, the WBO, the WBC. All these different outfits are fighting for the best fighters, the best shows. They're all, all right, come with us and we'll pay you this. The competition is so huge that they're always gonna pay fighters more, whereas Dana doesn't have to compete with anybody, so he can pay you whatever you want. In terms of business, he's cracked it. You gotta give the guy credit from a business perspective, but from a moral perspective, these guys, they're risking their lives. They're having to go through hell and back to train and prepare and get in the ring or get into the octagon and fight. And they're not being compensated like they should be, in my opinion. So it sucks. It sucks as a fighter. It sucks. But what can you do? You can't do anything until there's more competition. There's nothing you can do.
UFC 293 fighter shows off ridiculously low paycheck after fight. UFC 293 has come and gone, and it was a memorable one as Sean Strickland did the unthinkable as he dethroned the former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya to become the undisputed champion. The event was a complete success, even breaking gate records for an indoor event in the entire continent. The dust has now settled and the fighters are on their way back to the country where they reside, but without a lot less money in their pockets than they originally planned. Makdessi, who lost a razor-close decision to hometown favorite Jamie Mullarkey, showed off his pay after his fight at UFC 293. Not only was Makdessi deducted for airfare for his cornerman to be there, but he was also charged for the event-based medicals that were needed and a visa fee. That's not all, he was taxed 45% of his purse for foreign federal tax for taking the fight in Australia. He is quite upset with the situation, as most fighters would be. "I sacrificed my whole life for this sport and put everything on the line. Damn Australian government and the judges robbed me pretty badly," Makdessi said. That makes his total deductions and tax come out to an outstanding $29,538.35 of a potential purse of $58,000, which is 50.9% of his gross show purse. This is also before any management fees and out-of-pocket medical expenses that come after the fight itself. Is it worth taking a fight in another country? This asks the question, why do fighters even take fights in other countries if they are going to be taxed an exorbitant amount of money? It really all depends on the situation at hand. Living in a country like John Makdessi does in Canada that doesn't have many UFC events, he will have to travel outside of his country to fight, but as for fighters that live in the United States, it seems like a no-brainer to avoid fighting abroad at all costs if you can. The UFC pay scale is already low as it is, but with all of these deductions and foreign taxes, it's going to make it a lot harder for fighters outside of the host country willing to travel and put on a show for the fans. It is the unfortunate part of being a fighter for any organization, and there isn't much change to happen about it. Della Maddalena chimed in on the UFC Australia taxation controversy. Jack Della Maddalena is set for a huge welterweight matchup at No Chi UFC this weekend, but apparently the promotion was hoping to get a couple of other top welterweights booked on the card as well. The Australian is currently the UFC's number 14 ranked welterweight, and he'll face the biggest challenge of his career so far when he meets Kevin Holland in the No Chi UFC co-main event on Saturday. Della Maddalena chimed in on the taxation controversy, as Kevin Holland mentioned the issue as one of the reasons he don't like to fight in Australia, giving Makdessi debacle a leg to stand.
Here with Jack Della Maddalena, he is facing Kevin Holland in the co-main event of this weekend's UFC Noche card, and we just had the UFC in Australia, your home country, and you mentioned to me you had to miss the event to get here.
Yeah, unfortunately I had to miss it. The plan was to get on there and fight, but it just didn't work out that way, but always next time.
So Kevin Holland accepted the fight this weekend. What do you think stopped him from accepting the fight last weekend?
I think just the travel, just that long flight sort of scared him off, but I was happy to chase him, come here, look for him.
He had mentioned the taxes were an issue. Do you buy into that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all different reasons not to take the fight in Sydney, but no, yeah, I'm happy to travel.
Weird question. How does taxation work for you coming from Australia to compete here? I know that there's no tax in Las Vegas, but do you get taxed when you come back?
Yeah, I think it's probably the same thing for him, but just on this side, but yeah, it's all good.
Before we finish the video, if you enjoyed this content, like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to get the latest videos from MMA on the go.